On February 1, the President of Myanmar's Catholic bishops speaks to Vatican News to express the feeling of the people and the Church, while appealing to the junta and the international community. As Myanmar marks the first anniversary of the military coup on February 1, the country's Catholic bishops are reiterating their closeness to the suffering people, urging the Church and Christians to be the wounded healer and an instrument of peace. We feel your pain, your suffering, your starvation, we understand your disappointment, we understand your resistance, Myanmar Cardinal Bo of Yangon told the country's people in a message sent to Vatican News, ahead of Tuesday's anniversary. But to some who believe only in violent resistance, we say there are other means, said the Cardinal, who is also president of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Myanmar, CBCM. In the February 1, 2021 coup, Myanmar's military, headed by Senior General Min Aung Hlaing, deposed the elected government of Aung San Suu Kyi's National League for Democracy, imprisoning her and other elected leaders. The coup triggered widespread protests and strikes, calling for her release and the restoration of the democratic process. The junta security forces responded with a bloody crackdown on opponents of the coup, killing more than 1,500 protesters and arresting over 11,800 so far, according to the latest tally by the Assistance Association for Political Prisoners, AAPP, a rights group that documents and compiles casualties under the coup. The coup signaled the end of 10 years of reforms towards democratic rule after nearly 5 decades of harsh military rule. Extended way of the Cross Cardinal Bo, who has made numerous appeals for a peaceful return to civilian rule and respect for human rights and freedom, expressed deep concern over the dire situation of the people. He described the year-long human suffering under military rule as the extended way of the cross, the Garden of Eden becoming the Mount of Calvary. According to the latest estimates by the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, OCHA, Myanmar's turmoil is projected to have driven almost half the country's 54 million people into poverty, wiping out the impressive gains made since 2005. It is now estimated that 14 out of 15 states and regions are within the critical threshold for acute malnutrition. The UN estimates 25 million are in poverty, with 14.4 million in need of humanitarian aid in some form or other in 2022. The number includes 6.9 million men, 7.5 million women, and 5 million children. OCHA said $826 million are needed to reach 6.2 million of the 14.4 million people in need of humanitarian assistance this year. Before the February 1 coup, there were already some 340,000 internally displaced people, IDP. The coup has created another some 321,000 IDPs. Huge numbers are displaced, especially in Christian areas. Cardinal Bo, who is also president of the Federation of Asian Bishops' Conferences, FABC, described the current situation as a time of spiraling chaos, confusion, conflict, and human agony. With people living in fear, anxiety, and starvation, the whole of Myanmar is a war zone. Christians under fire. Among the regions most affected by armed conflict are the states of Chin, Kaya, and Karen. Churches that have been sheltering displaced people fleeing clashes between the army and armed groups are being targeted, raided, and shelled by the military. Priests and pastors are being arrested, while many unarmed civilians, including Christians, have been killed. Pope Francis and Myanmar. Pope Francis, who visited Myanmar in November 2017, lent his voice several times to the chorus of appeals from around the world for a quick and peaceful resolution to Myanmar's crisis. His first appeal came soon after the coup, when on February 7, 2021 at the Sunday midday Angelus prayer in the Vatican, he fondly recalled his 2017 visit, assuring the people of his spiritual closeness, prayers, and solidarity. And he prayed that those who have positions of responsibility in the country will place themselves with sincere willingness at the service of the common good, promoting social justice and national stability, for a harmonious, democratic coexistence, the Pope said, inviting the faithful to a moment of silent prayer. In his Urbi et or by Christmas message, the Pope prayed for the country, where intolerance and violence not infrequently target the Christian community and its places of worship, clouding the peaceful countenance of that people. And more recently, addressing the diplomatic corps in the Vatican on January 10, he said, "Dialogue and fraternity are all the more urgently needed for dealing wisely and effectively with the crisis which for almost a year now has affected Myanmar. Its streets, once places of encounter, are now the scene of fighting that does not spare even houses of prayer,